Good morning and welcome to our virtual vacation through Taiwan. I'd like to thank all of our travel advisors that have joined us today. I'd like to thank everybody who's just tuned in to learn a little bit more about Taiwan, to take a virtual vacation through this splendid destination, and at the same time, get away from anything that you may be thinking about at the moment and start thinking about traveling again. Of course, when we start thinking about traveling, the first thing that we should be doing is reaching out to our travel advisor. Of course, we all know that we're now coming out of the coronavirus, or we're hoping we're moving in the right direction. And many of us are starting to plan our next vacation. And our travel advisors have been instrumental in ensuring that people have discovered new ideas and new places to discover. And there's a number of different reasons why you should book with a travel advisor. They give you peace of mind, great customer service, maximize your budget, great choices, save time, personal service. And I always mention this is my favorite. There's something about picking up the phone, dialing a number, and then having someone on the other end of the line actually speak to you, as opposed to asking you to push another 7 or 8 buttons to get through to an automated system. A travel advisor brings insight and expertise, document assistance, consumer advocate, and they have industry contacts. So they are your true one-stop in regards to booking a trip anywhere around the world. So, travel advisors, thank you very much. We're here for you. And of course, I know you're all there for your clients as well. However, let's have a little bit of a look at Taiwan, a virtual vacation. Now, many of you may know where Taiwan is, but to give you an understanding, okay, it's a little bit east of China, a little bit north of the Philippines, a little bit south of Korea and Japan. So it is really the gateway to Asia. It's got a population of around about 23 million people. As you can see here, it's around about 14,000 square miles in size, and the exchange rate is around about 30 to 1, as you can see here. Now, the spoken language there is Mandarin, Hakka, Taiwanese, and Indigenous. But I can tell you after traveling there numerous times throughout your trips to Taiwan, English is also spoken as well, especially in a lot of the popular destinations that you may consider traveling to. As we touched on, Taiwan is the gateway to Asia. As you can see, you can get anywhere from Taiwan. Southeast Asia, places such as Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, as we touched on, China, Korea, Japan, and there's so many different gateways throughout the United States. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, New York, Chicago, Houston, and even those guys in Hawaii. You've got a great destination and a great department point from Honolulu. And let's not forget about our Canadians. Just up the road from myself, I'm based over in Washington State. We have Vancouver, and then we also have Toronto for the East Coast Canadians, so to speak. A number of great airlines servicing Taiwan and beyond. Obviously, you can see there Air Canada, China Airlines, and United. But a big cry out and a big special thanks to EVA Air. Obviously, they are the flagship carrier for Taiwan. They have some great flights, and I always tell people, when you're looking at traveling abroad, always just ask your travel advisor how much premium economy is, because even though it's a little step up in price, I can tell you the added comfort you get in premium economy is well worth it. And EVA Air always has some great prices. So chat to your travel advisor when you are considering traveling anywhere around the world. Hey, if the price doesn't fit, no problem. Go back to standard economy. That's what I travel in 95% of the time. Now, once you've chosen your airline, you've arrived into Taiwan, I can tell you getting around Taiwan is an absolute pleasure, okay? It makes it very easy to travel to Taiwan, because if you're a passport holder, a US passport holder, you get a visa on arrival, basically. Simple as that for 90 days. And then getting around the country is very easy, okay? You have the MRT, which is the mass rapid transport, which is used in and around the big cities. You have then also the Taiwan tour bus service, which I would assume most people would book on with a travel advisor if they are traveling throughout Taiwan. You have the local tourist buses, and then you have the high-speed rail system, which I've been very fortunate enough to use. And, if it's something you've never used before, you always think, a little bit, I don't know how it'll go. But I can tell you, as smooth as butter in regards to being on time, and also the signs that were displayed, so you could actually get on the train and feel very comfortable you were heading in the right direction. Now, What is there to do into Taiwan before we dig too much into it? There's great food. They also have great places for romance. Okay, and we'll discover that today, some great spa options. They also have a little bit of a, mystique about it in regards to the marvel, being able to watch plays, being able to do various types of art such as Tai Chi. And of course, they have great shopping and something a lot of people don't know. Once you get out of the big city of Taipei, I can tell you what, some of the most beautiful nature anywhere on the planet. It's one area that I always promote about Taiwan. The nature is absolutely, arguably second to none, especially when you get down to areas such as Tarioka Gorge. And you can see there on the middle of your screen, Lohas, which is basically just enjoying yourself with the people and also the surroundings of Taiwan. We touched on it. There's a number of Michelin star restaurants spread throughout all of Taiwan. There's great places to go shopping in the areas such as the night markets in and around Taipei and also further south as well. What a lot of people are quite surprised about, it has some of the best whiskey in the world because it has such a fresh water resources in and around the island as well. Many of you will know, and I made a quick little sneaky reference to this before starting today's presentation, about tea. They have some great tea, some great oolong tea comes out of Taiwan. They're very well known for a variety of different teas. And up here in the highlands, which is a little bit south of the capital, there's some great opportunities to go out and experience it firsthand. As every nation does, Taiwan is no different in the fact it has some great festivals, and one that many people often ask about and inquire about is the Taiwan Lantern Festival. And then, to understand the people, you have to also understand the past. So there's some great museums, there's some great galleries. One of the most famous is the National Palace Museum, which you can see here on the screen right now. Of course, religion plays an important role, so there's a number of different temples and pagodas to visit, such as the Hasing Tiangkong, which you can see here at the moment. Now, I did touch on it, getting outdoors, and one of the most beautiful bike paths in the world is cycling in and around Sun Moon Lake. I was fortunate enough to do this myself, and I can tell you, absolutely beautiful. And the great thing about the ride around Sun Moon Lake, it's relatively easy to do because it is a lake, so it's relatively flat all the way around. So you don't have to have a great ability to ride a bike, first of all, and you don't need to be, working up a great sweat because it is quite flat all the way around. Now, for those who like a little bit of relaxation and who doesn't love a hot spring or a massage, look at the number of different options that you have spread throughout the country from the north all the way down to the south. The nature. This is one thing that really blew me away on my first trip to Taiwan, was the beautiful nature. Because of the geographic features, Taiwan has a broad spectrum of ecosystem. More than 600 bird species and 400 butterfly species can be seen in Taiwan. The monkeys you see here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen are native to Taiwan, and they're known as the Formosan rock monkeys. It is the only native primate that inhabits the island. Of course, being outdoors, there's great places to go hiking. And in 2020, it was actually the year of the mountain in Taiwan, so they were heavily promoting getting out and about. However, hopefully they'll roll this around into 2021 so we can all take advantage of getting out into Taiwan and seeing some of the beautiful natural landscape. Now let's take a step back. To understand the people I mentioned, you have to understand the history. Taiwan's early history dates back to the earliest known civilization. Now, the first Europeans to land on Taiwan were the Portuguese in 1544. They called the island Formosa, meaning beautiful. In 1642, the Dutch colonized Taiwan and established settlements here. The Chinese overthrew the Dutch in 1683 and made Taiwan a Chinese province. Jumping forward to 1895, the Chinese were defeated by the Japanese and gave control over Taiwan to the Japanese. Now, during the next few decades, Japan did much to develop Taiwan's economy. However, after the defeat in the Second World War, Taiwan reverted to Chinese rule. However, simultaneously in China, a civil war was being fought between the communists and the Kuomintang. When the communists won, there was an exodus of Kuomintang to Taiwan, who established the Republic of China there and ruled Taiwan for 40 years. Taiwan is considered one of the 4 Asian tigers. South Korea, Hong Kong, and Singapore. It has had much democratic reform, which was introduced in the 1980s and eventually led to the first presidential election in 1996. Jumping forward 20 years, in 2016, Taiwan elected their first female president, which you can see here on the screen right now, Tsai Ing-wen. Taiwan is a great destination to visit because you can visit all year round. Half of the country is tropical, the other half is subtropical. The climate ranges from tropical in the south to subtropical in the north and is governed by the East Asian monsoon. So you have the Tropic of Cancer cutting through Taiwan. Something you do need to take into consideration, that the annual daytime temperature ranges from around about 75 to 95 degrees. So it's a great temperature range all year round. The months May through to September can be a little bit more hot and humid, so please consider that. But all other months are very comfortable. So it's a great destination all year round, depending on what you want to see and do, which will then determine on probably what time of the year you go. The food we think of as distinctly Taiwanese is, in fact, a bit of a, inverted commas, hodgepodge. Local indigenous flavours and waves of outside culinary influence have all transcended into the salty, sweet trademark of modern Taiwanese cuisine, in which handfuls of basil, garlic, and green onion supercharge nearly every dish. So a lot of fresh produce and a lot of healthy produce as well. For thousands of years, indigenous lived exclusively off Taiwan's generous land and sea, a lush smorgasbord of a little bit of everything. This way of life, for the most part, may be a thing of the past, but 500,000 Taiwanese Aborigines still populate the country, and their culinary influences endure local ingredients like millet and mountain peppercorn that can be used throughout various dishes. Of course, when you do sit, as you can see, it's plated up into different varieties, and then you can often serve up as you go. As you can see, some of the most popular are the salty macaw spiced sausages. Now, Taiwanese cuisine also bears the mask of the Hakka people from the southern China region. Today, 4.5 million Hakka call Taiwan home, and their rustic cooking informs many of the flavours we associate with Taiwan. Lei chai tea mixed with peanuts, mint leaves, sesame seeds, and mung beans, and pan-fried mai fan rice are some of the staples. So we can thank the Chinese people from Fujian for the sweet, heady flavours that permutate in dishes like minced pork on rice and gubao or pork belly buns. They came here during the Qing dynasty. Some of the most famous foods are the beef noodle soup. It's considered the national dish of Taiwan. What distinguishes it from Chinese counterparts is the addition of pickled mustard greens and the signature 5-spice powder. Taiwan hosts the Taipei International Beef Noodle Festival every year, where the soup, in which wheat noodles swim along with the tender beef shanks, beef tendons, and greens in a hearty stock that's been slowly simmering with beef bones for days, is consumed by the gallon. Lay's even sells a red braised beef noodle soup potato chip flavour in Taiwan. So try that out when you're next there. Another great dish is a scallion pancake, sometimes known as green onion pancake. It's savoury, flaky, croissant-like flatbread that mixes scallions into an oil-enriched batter that's ladled onto a hot griddle and seared until crisp. Taipei's best street stalls can be seen deftly spinning, fluffing, and flipping the pancakes until puffed and layered. Eat one on its own or wrapped around egg, basil leaves, cheese, seared beef, ham, corn, or any more of the different varieties of wraps. Now, my personal favourite, and I wasn't introduced to these until I moved to the United States about 10 years ago, the xiaolong bao, or the soup dumpling. This is where that famous chain Din Tai Fung began, in Taiwan. Din Tai Fung has become internationally synonymous with soup dumplings, and the original brand in central Taipei consistently draws lines from open to close for its broth-filled steamed pork dumplings. It isn't the only game in town, however, and locals love to debate the merits of the mum-and-pop rivals. Want to know how locals eat soup dumplings? They grab one straight out of the steamer, pop it in their mouth, scald their tongue, which we've all done, I'm sure, if we've had these good dumplings, and grimace as they continue to scoff the remaining contents of the bamboo steamer while wishing they had been more patient. Please don't try this at home. Now, there's a number of different Din Tai Fung spreads throughout the US. We're very fortunate to have some here in Seattle and Bellevue. I know there's some in Los Angeles, Pasadena, and various regions, and up along the West Coast. I'd be interested if anyone knows of any on the East Coast for my next trip out east. In Taiwan, there's a number of different Din Tai Fungs available. The iconic one is this small building, but it's about 4 stories in height, but it's only about 7 or 8. Move your way up. However, since they have become quite popular, you do also have them at the bottom, Din Tai Fungs at the bottom of areas such as Taipei 101, which you can see on the screen right now. Now, many of you will know Taipei, the capital, economically, educationally, and also culturally. So it has it all, and has emerged as one of the major cities of the Chinese-speaking world. Taipei's skyline is crowned by the 1,600-foot bamboo-shaped tower, the Taipei 101 building. The one-time tallest building in the world may no longer be a record holder, but is still one of Taiwan's most impressive buildings and well worth a visit. The 728-ton mass damper that allows the building to survive the island's many earthquakes is an amazing piece of engineering to be seen from various points within the building. Yeah, you see this beautiful building, but when you actually go inside it and you go up it, you see this great big ball. You can actually see the building moving, but that's a stabilization point. It's absolutely amazing to see. Of course, when people think of Taipei, they also think of great markets. And right at the top of that list is the Shaolin Night Market. On street level, there is a lively food scene, and many night markets will have this food scene, but the Shaolin Night Market is arguably the best. The Shaolin Night Market is a popular point of interest among visitors and locals alike. The maze of alleyways is filled with a variety of local, traditional, and international merchandise. And along the western edge is the food court. Of course, once you get to dine there, you get to catch your own dinner. As you can see here, this is a prawn stall. So you catch your own prawn, and then they barbecue it for you. So you can see the guy on the left-hand side, he's trying to catch his dinner, and then the guy on the right-hand side in the white T-shirt cooks it up for you. The market literally has something for everybody. Taiwanese sausage and kebab, there's something here for everyone. Something you'll probably smell before you see is the notorious Taiwanese goodie known as stinky tofu, the most notorious of all. Because of the rank odors emitted by the tofu, it is rarely served in restaurants. Street stalls, however, often group together to sell their pungent fare, the air around them saturated by the smell. Follow your nose through the market for this crispy, warm street snack. Now, the most popular dish is Shaolin Night Market is the oyster omelette, pronounced by everyone in Taiwan as A-I-Jing. The dish consists of an omelette with a filling primarily composed of small oysters. Potato starch is mixed into the egg batter for a thicker consistency. Pork lard is used to fry the omelette. Depending on variation, a savoury sauce may then be poured on top. Spicy or chili sauce mixed with lime juice is often added to provide an intense taste. One place not to be missed in Taipei is the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall. It's like going to the US and New York and seeing the Statue of Liberty, going to Australia and seeing the Opera House, going to India and seeing the Taj Mahal. This is one place that must be visited. Taipei delights visitors with many architectural landmarks, but this is literally right up there at the top. The Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall was erected in honor and memory of General Chiang Kai-shek, the former president of the Republic of China, and was opened in 1980 as part of a national park and gathering area. The octagon-shaped white building rises about 250 feet and is covered with blue tiles and red accents, as you can see here, echoing the flag of the Republic of China. The 8 sides represent the Chinese cultural symbolism of the number 8, which is traditionally associated with fortune and wealth. And the 2 sets of 89 steps represent Chiang's age of death and led up to the main hall. One place to understand the people and to also understand the change is the National Palace Museum. It is home to one of the largest collections of Chinese imperial artifacts and offers a look into an imperial China's past. The many thousands of items on display were rescued by Chiang Kai-shek's government as they fled mainland China during the Cultural Revolution. As you can see, once you step inside, there's jewels and there's also beautiful art spread throughout. A number of different temples spread throughout Taipei, one of the most famous being Baiyang Temple. Here, you'll be able to see a number of different festivals being held, one of those being the Baiyang Cultural Festival, where people come together and to learn about the past. We touched on it already, the Din Tai Fung restaurant. There's a number of these spread throughout, and they are going to give you great food fare at a great price as well. Taipei has so much to offer, but there is so much beyond Taipei as well. So we've seen the big city, but those who love national parks and natural landscapes, you can't go wrong with Tarioka. Taiwan's most popular tourist destination, Tarioka's main attraction is the gorge, an amazingly narrow river gorge, about 12 miles long, flanked on each side by soaring marble walls, hundreds of feet high. Tarioka Gorge is named after the Tarioka people, one of the 16 officially recognized Taiwanese Aboriginal tribes. My suggestion is if you are traveling down into this region, you can do it on a day trip from Taiwan, from Taipei, but I would suggest spending a night or two up here. Known in the travel industry as Taiwan's Grand Canyon, Tarioka is an impressive national park, easily accessible from Taipei. Waterfalls cascade down the cliffs, enormous ferns wave in the breeze. You'll feel that you've stepped back into a Chinese scroll painting of sorts. Hikes in the park are particularly rewarding and the best way to see the natural beauty. Cycling is another popular way to get around. Tarioka can be done, as I touched on, as a day trip, but we always suggest a night or two here. Sun Moon Lake, Taiwan's largest lake, is located in the mountains of Nantou at the geographic center of Taiwan. So I would often suggest traveling down the east coast, the rugged mountain ranges of Taiwan, stopping in a night or two in the Tarioka Gorge, and then heading across the mountains to Sun Moon Lake. The name of the lake is inspired by its shape. The east side of the lake is rounded, like the sun, while the west side is long and narrow, like a crescent moon. In the center of the lake is a small island named Lalu, which is reserved for Aboriginal religious practices. Therefore, the public is not allowed to visit the island. Sadly, for visitors wishing to cool off after a day of sightseeing, swimming is only allowed once a year. The annual Sun Moon Lake Swimming Carnival is a 1.5-mile cross-lake race held on one day each September. The other 364 days, nothing mars the calm, emerald surface of the lake. Temples and pavilions dot the 20-mile shore, but it's a great way to visit is on bike. A great way to understand the indigenous people is to take a cable car ride, which offers a bird's eye view of this stunningly beautiful setting. At the end of the cable car ride is also an indigenous camp that you can go to as well. We're going to continue our journey down to Kaohsiung, and it could easily win an award for the most transformed city of the decade. Taiwan's second largest city and one of the world's largest commercial ports, Kaohsiung used to be an industrial city low on charm. Today, though, there's verdant parks, waterfront cafes, edgy art galleries and museums, which draw visitors from all over Taiwan and from around the world. One of the most popular areas is the Zhujiang district. You can also visit areas such as Yangchang and head out to Saijin Island, which offers an historic site and also market stalls as well. While the new town boasts trendy restaurants, shops galore, and for romantics, perhaps an evening stroll along the Love River. Now, no trip to Kaohsiung is complete without paying the city's night market a visit. The heart of Kaohsiung beats at Lahu Market, a little bit like Shilin Market in Taipei, where food, shopping, and people come together on one long stretch of road. Aroma bombs, awesome shopping, and unbelievable bargains are all to be found here. We now move on to Tainan, was once the capital and is now Taiwan's center of religious celebration. A city of ancient monuments, specifically temples, Tainan sees many gods worshipped, many festivals and many rituals observed. Anping is the center of culture in Tainan, and a visitor could spend days here exploring various cultural sites. Streets are lined with old shophouses turned into quaint cafes, mini museums, art galleries, bakeries, and confectionaries. These well-preserved streets are not only filled with historical charms and aesthetics, but they remain and retain remnants of Tainan's history. Here you can head to areas such as Port Vavintia, Port Zealandia. It is currently a comprehensive museum exhibiting plaques on its grounds, as well as an old customs house built which has various exhibitions regarding its construction and its purpose. For those who love nature, you cannot miss the Sicario Green, one of the most beautiful places to visit in Tainan. As you travel down along the canal, it feels as though you are moving through a thick green tunnel of vegetation. The boat ride through the canal runs for about 30 or so minutes. The Sicario Green Tunnel was once used for transporting salt from the drying fields to the storage areas way back when salt production was a major industry in Tainan. We now move across into the mountains, into the area known as Alishan, or Mount Ali. It is one of Taiwan's top scenic attractions. The Alishan National Scenic Area is renowned for its breathtaking sunrises over seas of clouds. Small Gouge, Alishan Forest Railway, and Taiwan's most sought-after teas are made in this area or are grown in this region. Alishan has been Taiwan's most popular mountain resort for nearly a century. Located almost exactly in the middle of Taiwan, which means Jade Mountain is Northeast Asia's highest mountain. The area was originally settled by the traditional owners and was discovered by tourists back in the early 1900s. Due to its altitude, Alishan is always about 10 degrees cooler than the main cities in Taiwan, making it a great respite from the heat. Its alpine forests feature giant Taiwanese red cypresses, many of which are said to be more than 2,000 years old. Alishan is actually a collection of peaks, averaging around about 8,000 feet, that overlook the massif of the Yushan. Riding the small gauge train up from Chaya and between the various sections of the park is one of the highlights of visiting Alishan. The forests on Alishan are regularly shrouded in mist, producing mystical scenes reminiscent of classical Chinese paintings. One of the reasons the park is so popular among visiting Chinese and Asian tourists. Besides the many interesting things to do in Alishan, a big draw is the tea. Alishan High Mountain Oolong tea, the most famous tea in a country that produces some of the world's best oolong teas, is grown in and around Alishan. I love myself a good cup of tea. Now, looking for a suggested 4-day itinerary in and around Taiwan. But as you've seen already, you could spend a week or two in Taiwan, no problems whatsoever. However, if you are looking at traveling to Taiwan and you've got limited time, this is the best way to attack the major points. On day one, arrive into Taipei. Then, depending on where you're staying, you might want to be transferred off to the Grand Hotel, which you can see there in the background. It's a beautiful property. I was fortunate enough to stay here when I was last in Taiwan. And what I really liked about it is that it had all the creature comforts that you want, but it also gave you a sense of the past and the feel of the Taiwanese people. And once you were inside your room, you had these great sweeping views over the city, as you can see here, Taipei 101 out in the foreground. But it also had the history. And what you would understand about the hotel is that there was actually hidden passages underneath the hotel in case they ever needed to escape. So booking onto this was very important. Now, this is one of those things you can't even book in advance. You just have to book when you get to the hotel. It's one of those things, though, travel advisors mark it on the notes for your clients to make sure they take advantage of this tour while they're at the hotel, because it gives you a great insight. Now, many flights into Taiwan arrive early in the morning. So arrive at the hotel, check your bags in, but you go and visit areas such as Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall. Visit the Martyrs' Shrine. See some of the most famous temples such as the Longshen Temple. And then also learn a little bit about the handicraft that the locals produce and then also obviously sell. Then keep the batteries running, head off that night for dinner at the Shailin Night Market. Okay? Might be able to pick up a bargain or two, but make sure you don't forget to try out the stinky tofu whilst you're there. Now, here's yours truly on our first day into Taiwan, traveling with a companion of mine, Phil Kennedy there, and we actually went off and got our feet in a massage done because we'd done the flight. It'd been a big full day, and we thought, what's the best thing we can do? So we went off and got a massage at the night market. So we got our feet done, and then we got our shoulders done, and then we headed back to the hotel, and we had a really good night's sleep, well rested and ready for day two. And day two was driving down to Tarioka. Okay, this is the way I'd look at attacking it. Head across to the rugged east side of Taiwan and head off to areas such as Qingshu Cliffs, where you'll be able to stop, grab some photos, take in the sights, and then making your way down into Tarioka National Park. Now, I have suggested staying for a night or two in Tarioka Gorge region. A place that I would highly recommend to all travel advisors and people looking at traveling to this region is the Leader Village. It's this beautiful village located up into the mountains. It's run by the indigenous people of the area, so all the money goes back, and the rooms were simply amazing. The scenery was second to none, and it was the freshest air I think I've had anywhere in the world. It was absolutely splendid. As you can see, this is a shot from the entry, and here is where you would have your dinner at night, and they also do a dance show here on the middle of the floor after everybody's finished dinner. Now, these are the rooms, quite simple and quaint, but I can tell you, it just felt like paradise, because when you're in Tarioka, it is paradise. Taiwan was created, they say, through a collision of the Philippine and the Eurasian plates in what is known as the Penglai orogeny, which then created this beautiful mountain range here in Tarioka National Park. This movement occurred some 4 million years ago and is responsible for the formation. Even today, the shift in tectonic plates continues, and this area continues to rise a few millimeters every year. But I can tell you, the scenery is second to none. It doesn't matter if you're walking in and amongst the cave systems or down along the river system, you will literally just be clicking away. Now, on day 3, after your breakfast and you've had a look around Tarioka Gorge, follow the east-west road across the island into the areas such as Mount Heohun, which is around about 3,000 meters, one of the highest places in all of Taiwan. And then continue across, and a great place to stay is over at the Tai Yai Red Maple Hot Springs Resort. Now, this is going to be a more traditional style hotel, so to speak, but what I loved about this property is it was such centrally located to some other great options by being able to go off and visit the Paper Church. Here you can see the Paper Church is a temporary church, building constructed using paper tubes as structural elements. It was designed on a pro bono basis by Shingura Ban, internationally known Japanese architect who is known for his paper tube structures in and around the world. This temporary structure was built on September 17th, 1995 to serve as a temporary church. Obviously, it still stands today, so it has become quite a tourist site to see. Here's a beautiful shot at night. It's the Paper Church, but it's also a great place to go and visit the paper factory. And at the paper factory, you can see how they make paper, how they use various designs to make paper fans, and also obviously handicrafts here as well. And since we are down below the mountains now, there's also some great fruit picking activities in and around this region as well. And this can be done right here at the hotel once you've come back from the paper storage area. They also have a great dinner show here at night as well, which is, I always think, is a great way to learn about the people, but at the same time, having a hotel that has a concert or something on at the end of the day works really well, because if you're a little bit tired, it's a very easy thing to have dinner, watch the show, head back to your room. You're not waiting for transfers and the like. So that's what I really liked about this hotel. Then on day 4, after breakfast, drive to Sun Moon Lake, okay, which we've touched on, a beautiful area. Here you could also go and visit the Wenwu Temple, which gives you a great look over the top of Sun Moon Lake. In and around this region, you have the Chai Ken Tower, and you also have the Confucius Temple as well, and areas such as Kosinga Shrine. So absolutely amazing. And what I really like about this 4-day option is that what you do is you then obviously have one night in Taipei, one night down in Tarioka Gorge, and then one night over here in this region in and around Sun Moon Lake. And then on day 4, you head back to Taipei. But what you do is you actually take the train back to Taipei. Now, that's a really quick journey around Taiwan. I would be more inclined to arrive into Taipei, if you had the time, spend 2 nights into Taipei on arrival. So get there, get yourself relaxed up. Then go down to Tarioka Gorge, spend 2 days down there, okay, because you do want a full day to explore the gorge region. From there, head across to Sun Moon Lake and have 2 nights there, because as I touched on, it would be great to be able to ride the bikes in and around Sun Moon Lake, and also visit the indigenous village. And then on day 7, head back to Taipei. Now, depending on what you're doing, if you're going to leave Taipei and head home, or you're going to somewhere else in Southeast Asia, I may then suggest on doing another night in Taipei. So you're looking at a 7 to 8 night stay, which would work really well. Now, there are other areas that we didn't cover throughout this presentation that we could extend it out into, making it a 2-week stay in and around Taiwan. But the great thing about Taiwan, the international airport is very user-friendly. They have a great, network of flights, and obviously their main carrier is EVA Air, their international carrier, so to speak, their national carrier. And I can tell you, I've been on them many times, and I strongly recommend them as a great choice traveling throughout Asia and beyond. Now, many of you are probably wondering, oh, this looks amazing. I want to go to Taiwan. I want to go and experience this. When can I go? Well, as we know, at the moment, the great thing about the world is it's starting to open back up slowly. Only just this week I saw Japan come out, and they're starting to hope to have international travellers coming back on the 1st of April. Tahiti has opened up. East Africa has opened up. So there are places starting to open up. With Taiwan, they still at the moment, if you were to go to Taiwan, it's 14 days of quarantine, but they're also hoping to have it opened up early in the new year. So if you are considering, I'd chat to your travel advisor as soon as possible and start planning this trip, because I know all of us have got this pent-up, I won't call aggression, pent-up anxiety to want to go traveling again. I know I do. So get your plans, get your travel advisor to get a quote organised for you, get information for travel in 2021 to Taiwan. Of course, I can see there was a number of different questions that came through, so I'll endeavour to answer a few of those when we have a chance here. Cynthia, I can see you had a little bit of if anyone had any problems with the audio, this is recorded and we will be sending you a link. So if you do need to go back, the great thing about modern technology is that, hey, if you miss something, you can normally get it shortly after. So be aware of that. Perfect. Okay. Paula, thank you very much for your kind words there. You said Phil will try and ink. I know that you know Phil, one of our travel advisors. Yep, Phil will try and ink. And I really like the massage option. Some people, I don't want to get my feet done, or I don't want to get a massage. I can tell you, after a flight, it doesn't matter how good the flight is, a good massage and a good soak of your feet to just let them relax went really well. I got it. I can see there was another question here, is have we done any other virtual vacations throughout Asia? Yeah, that came from Tonya. Tonya, we have done a number of different virtual vacations throughout Asia. Japan, Thailand, Indonesia / Bali. The list goes on. Korea. So really any destination that we sell, we have done a virtual vacation, and I'm more than happy to send that to you and send that to your travel advisor moving forward, so that you would have a recording link of that moving forward. I can see some people here commenting about the Xiaolong Bao. New York City Queens Flushing soup buns. Thank you, Lois. We'll have to try that out next time I am in New York. I tell you what, I always love different foods from around the world. And Taiwan, like I said, before I came to the US, I'd never had the Xiaolong Bao. And now I'm absolutely addicted to them. My wife said, you can't eat that many. I said, yes, I can. They're that good. Perfect. Robin, thank you very much. I can see your kind words there. I still remember that apricot jam you sent me. My wife talks about that quite often. Deanna said she'd like to see a virtual vacation for Thailand and Singapore. We have, no problems whatsoever. We'll follow that up and be able to send you a link out for that. And just some other really nice words. So thank you very much from all of our travel advisors for those kind words, and also for any of our family, friends, the future travellers, past travellers as well. Now, many of you were asking about our virtual vacations. There's just a splintering of vacations that we've done up until July, and we have done them throughout August and September as well, but obviously I can't fit them all on the screen. So Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Thailand, Botswana, as I mentioned, a number of the different options on there, but we have done many, many more. If you are interested, please just reach out to your travel advisor, or travel advisors reach out directly to me. I'd be more than happy to be able to send you a link of any of the destinations that we've covered moving forward. Our virtual vacations is all about showing people who love travel what is available in these destinations, and as they begin opening back up, to give you ideas so you can make that next trip of a lifetime. So maybe it'll be Taiwan, maybe it'll be another destination that we've presented on the virtual vacation. We will continue our virtual vacations moving forward. Coming up very shortly, we'll be delving into East Africa and the East African safaris. So I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us, for taking the time out of your day to take a virtual vacation through Taiwan. I'd like to thank all of our travel advisors who have made this possible. Without our travel advisors, this would not be possible, inviting their past clients, future clients, friends, family, anyone who just loves travel. Our virtual vacations is for everybody, because we all love traveling and we want to be out there doing it again soon. So thank you very much. I hope you have a great day. Be kind to one another, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.